What does it mean to be human when survival depends on the strength of the pack? A storm howls across Ice Age Europe, a frozen wilderness sculpted by wine and death. Temperatures plunge below -20, snow blinds the horizon. Yet here, against the fury of nature, another kind of strength rises. Heavy footprints press into the ice, not of beasts, but of Neanderthals. They move as one. 15, 20 hunters, bound by instinct and trust. Their weapons, carved from wood and stone, gleam with frost. Short, heavy spears meant not to fly, but to strike at close range. Archaeologists in Germany, France, and Spain have found bones torn by these very blows, proof of courage written in scars of mammoth and woolly rhinoceros. A thunderous roar shatters the air. A massive rhino charges. Snow explodes. The leader signals. The hunters circle. One misstep means death. The spear plunges deep. Crimson sprays the white earth. Steam rises. Victory claimed. Yet exhaustion and remain. In this frozen silence, the question endures. Was this the birth of humanity, or simply its reflection in ice?
From this frozen world of giants,
what happens to a species when the world itself turns against them? Do they perish, or do they become something new? As the Ice Age tightened its grip, Europe began to change. Forests froze, rivers turned to glass, and the humans who once thrived here faced a test of endurance that would shape their destiny. These were Homo heidelbergensis hunters spread across Africa, Asia, and Europe. But when the glaciers advanced, the European tribes were cut off, trapped between ice and stone. In isolation, they began to evolve. Over tens of thousands of years, bones thickened, muscles strengthened, and minds expanded. Their brains grew to an astonishing 1,500 cubic centimeters, larger than our own. A wider nose warmed the frigid air. Their skin and blood adapted to bitter cold. The genes that once belonged to heidelbergensis now carried the blueprint of a new species, Homo neanderthalensis. Through centuries of frost and silence, these people endured. Mothers shielding their children beside firelight, hunters breathing steam into frozen hands. And as the ice advanced and retreated again and again, the transformation continued. Unseen, unstoppable, a silent revolution written in flesh, bone, and time. The Ice Age world was never still. Europe, 300,000 years ago, a land between life and extinction. Lines carved the plains of the Pleistocene, where mammoths, woolly rhinos, and herds of saiga antelope roamed the frozen steppe. Predators lurked in the mist, cave lions, saber-toothed cats, and bears the size of boulders. In this harsh theater of survival, one species stood apart, the Neanderthals. They built their homes beneath cliffs and inside caves, like those found in Germany's Neumarkt, France's La Feroce, and Spain's El Sidrón. Smoke curled from their fires, a fragile defiance against the endless cold. They hunted with precision within a narrow range, rarely venturing more than 15 kilometers from their camps. Flint sparkled in their hands as they shaped new spearheads. Their skills passed from parent to child beside the fire. Children learned by play. Bones became toes, stones became lessons. When the hunt turned deadly, they carried the wounded home, tending them with care and warmth. Compassion was not weakness, it was survival. As the sun dipped beyond the icy horizon, smoke rose into the golden haze, merging with clouds, a quiet promise that, in this frozen land, humanity had already begun to take root. Firelight flickers across stone walls, the beating heart of Neanderthal life. In a world ruled by frost, survival was not just strength, it was ingenuity. Their hands, thick and powerful, shaped the tools of the Mousterian age, finely chipped blades and hand axes born from stone and flame. With tendon and resin, they fused stone to wood, creating weapons precise enough to pierce the hide of a mammoth. Fragments of birch tar and bitumen, still found in ancient caves, whisper of chemistry long before science had a name. Animal skins became armor, sewn with sinew and bone needles. Their garments shielded them from storms that could kill within hours. Outside, blizzards screamed. Inside, they sealed the cave and guarded their precious fire, a fragile sun that never slept. Children huddled close, eyes reflecting the dance of flames. The elders spoke, stories etched into memory, wisdom passed through generations. Then, With red ochre and trembling hands, they press their palms upon the wall, a mark of presence, a declaration of being. As the camera pulls back, the cave glows, a sanctuary of warmth and art, where the first sparks of human creativity began to burn against the endless cold. In the heart of the Ice Age, humanity flickered not only in firelight, but in love, loss, and memory. Deep inside a cave in what is now Iraq, archaeologists discovered something extraordinary, a grave. A Neanderthal, carefully laid to rest, surrounded by traces of pollen, the remains of flowers placed by gentle hands. At Shanidar, the dead were honored, not discarded. Their world was brutal, yet their hearts were not. The wounded and the old were cared for, the dying were comforted. A mother wept quietly, pressing a carved bone amulet into the hand of the departed, as others whispered prayers to the flame. These gestures spoke of empathy, of a mind capable of mourning and meaning. They gathered, shared food, and watched the stars ignite above the frozen plains. Children pointed at the northern lights, their laughter echoing through the night. In Spain's La Pasiga cave, long before Homo sapiens arrived, red pigments painted symbols upon rock, art older than our species itself. Beneath the aurora, their leader kindled a great fire, defying the dark. Wolves lingered at a distance, eyes glinting, two survivors bound by the same cold. For over 100,000 years, Neanderthals ruled this land, fierce, tender, intelligent. And in their stories carved in stone and flame, we see the first reflection of ourselves. For tens of thousands of years, the Neanderthals ruled Ice Age Europe, masters of the cold, hunters of mammoth and bison. But time itself was shifting. Around 45,000 years ago, a new rhythm began to echo from the south. Homo sapiens our ancestors, stepped into their frozen dominion. The earth trembled under change, massive ice sheets melted and refroze. Rivers, once silent beneath frost, burst alive with rushing torrents. Across the tundra, herds of animals began to vanish or move south, breaking the fragile web of life the Neanderthals depended on. Scientists call it a Heinrich event, a sudden, brutal cooling that plunged Europe into chaos. Food grew scarce. Once mighty hunters followed dwindling trails through storms and biting lines. Families carried their lives on their backs, children crying in the snow as they searched for warmth and gain. Yet in their struggle, something extraordinary awaited. The first meeting between two kinds of human. Far across the river, Neanderthals saw fires not their own. Shadows moved, smaller, leaner, bearing tools of bone and art of imagination. Homo sapiens. They watched one another across the divide. Fear, curiosity, recognition. For a brief moment in deep time, two intelligent species shared the same horizon. Modern genetics reveals what followed, a mingling of blood and legacy. Around 2 to 3% of the DNA in modern humans carries the mark of Neanderthals. Silent proof of connection. Amid competition, the Ice Age tightens its grip. A Neanderthal hunter lies wounded in the snow, his breath shallow, his tribe gathered close. The woman beside him presses her hands to his wound, the crimson of life spilling onto white frost. Outside, the storm screams. Inside the cave, they cling to one another, their fire flickering against the dark, a fragile beacon of a species nearing its final dawn. When the blizzard clears, silence remains, footprints fade beneath the drifting snow. Only ashes mark where they once lived, where laughter and song once rose against the cold. The last Neanderthals vanish, not in a moment, but in quiet surrender to time itself. Yet they never truly disappeared. Thousands of years later, Homo sapiens wander into their abandoned shelters.
And from the southern horizon,
in the flicker of torchlight, they discover handprints on the stone, the marks of beings who dreamed, who remembered, who loved. One human hand touches the ancient outline, past meeting present in a single breath. Modern science completes the connection through the pioneering work of Spondi Piobo, awarded the 2022 Nobel Prize. We now know that every person outside Africa carries 1 to 4% Neanderthal DNA. Some of their genes strengthen our immunity. Others spark our allergies. Their story continues within our very cells, whispered through the spiral of our DNA. Today, their fire still burns, not in caves, but in the minds and hearts of their descendants, us. Because to remember them is to remember ourselves, the ancient courage that shaped humanity. If this story moved you, keep their legacy alive. Like, share, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to journey further into the untold history of who we are.